The final piece of section 13.4 is adjustable rate mortgages. So an adjustable rate mortgage generally will start out with a lower interest rate than a similar fixed rate loan, but will periodically have rate adjustments done to it. Those adjustments could be done every 1, 3, or 5 years, which might increase the rate or decrease the rate depending on the market at the time. So we have some definitions to go through. The adjustment period is the frequency in the change of rate. These adjustments are caused by fluctuations in an index upon which your rate is based. To determine your interest rate for an adjustable rate mortgage, the lender will add to the index a few percentage points called the margin. So to help you reduce having an interest rate go too high, you would want to make sure to have a cap on your adjustable rate mortgage if possible. The first question is asking us to find the monthly payment under the following conditions. So we're borrowing $155,000 over 30 years. The initial rate index is 2.8% with a margin of 1.2%. It'll be adjusted 3 years later with a new index rate. So to find this initial monthly payment, we use our R formula. So R will equal $155,000, because that's what we're borrowing, times 0.04. Now where do we get 0.04? We take these numbers and we add them together. So 2.8 plus 1.2 gives you 4.0, and then that turns into a decimal. Divided by 12, all over 1 minus 12 divided by 12.04 to the 360th power, because there's 30 years you're paying, and you're paying every month throughout those years. So you plug this in your calculator, and you get $739.99. Now then it goes on to asking you, what will your monthly payment be after the adjustment period? So it's still using the R formula, but the balance that you put here is no longer $155,000 because you've made 3 years worth of payments. So they tell you your new adjusted balance. So you're going to use $146,473.02. You're going to do 0.058 divided by 12. Now you might wonder, where do we get that? The rule is you always add the margin onto the index. So this is 4.6 plus 1.2, which is 5.8, which we turn into a decimal. This is over 1 minus 12 divided by 12.058 to the 324th power. Now you might wonder, well, where do we get that number, and why is it not 360? Because you have to take into account that you've already made 3 years worth of payments. So 324 comes by taking 27 times 12, and that's where you get this 324. When you work this through your calculator, your answer is going to be $8.95.77. So it makes sense that your payment went up because you had a jump in interest rate. Now it says, what's the change in that monthly payment? So you simply take these two numbers and you subtract. So you take $895.77 minus $739.99, and you end up with $155.78. So for the next 3 years, your payment every month will be $155.78 higher than it initially was. So now it says Yolanda has a 1-year adjustable rate mortgage for $50,946 over a 20-year term. The margin is 2%, and the index rate starts out at 6.3% and increases to 10% at the first adjustment. The balance of principal at the end of the first year is $49,891.31. The adjustable rate mortgage includes a periodic rate cap of 2% per adjustment period. So we want to find the interest owed. Now this can be tricky. This problem can be a little misleading. What this really wants is the interest paid from first payment. So remember, we find that by doing I equals PR times 1/12. So we take 50,946, because if it's the interest paid from the first payment, we have not paid down this principal yet, times, remember how we find our interest rate for an adjustable rate mortgage? We take our margin plus our rate. So we take 2 plus 6.3 and get 8.3%, which we write as the decimal 0.083. We multiply this by 1/12 because we are just interested over the first month. So you get $352.38 of the first payment goes to interest. Now the monthly payment due for the first month, that simply uses the R formula. So you take 50,946 times 0.083 divided by 12 over 1 minus 12 divided by 12.083 to the 240th power. 240 comes from the fact that this is 12t and t is 20 years. So 12 times 20 is 240. Plugging this in your calculator, you get $435.69. Now to wrap up 13.4, we need to talk about additional one-time expenses called closing costs. So for a $155,000 mortgage, the borrower was charged the following closing costs. Loan origination fee, 2% of mortgage. Then all of these are flat fees that the closing title company will add into that initial processing. So compute the total closing costs for this mortgage. Now we really kind of need to do 15 first before we do 14, right? Or, well, we could do them this way, right? So 2% of the mortgage is 2% of 155,000. So you take 0.02 times 155,000 and you get 3,100. So there's going to be a $3,100 fee for the origination of this loan. Now all of these fees get added together for $5,737. In addition to all of this, you have to have a 10% down payment. So to find your down payment, you take 10% of 155,000 and you get 15,500. So now when it says what is the immediate cost that the buyer must pay, the immediate cost is the $15,500 for the down payment and the $5,737 $7 in fees. So you have to bring initially to buy this house $21,237.